shot in West Chatham this afternoon. CBS Skywatch was over the scene at 76th and Vincennes about 45 minutes ago. Police say the 26-year-old woman was sitting in her car when someone ran up and started shooting. No one is in custody.
Picture this. You're sitting at a red light. Your child is in the back seat, and suddenly gunshots ring out. That was the last moment of 26-year-old Arianna Bosney's life, better known as G Ari, a rising Chicago rapper who was gunned down on October 27, 2025. But here's what makes this story even more chilling. Her young son was right there in that car, watching everything unfold. And the worst part? This might have all been revenge for something she allegedly did just 2 days earlier. If you're new here, welcome to Mystoracrimes, where we break down the darkest true crime stories that nobody else is talking about. Do me a favor real quick. Hit that like button, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from, share this with someone who needs to hear this story, and make sure you subscribe and click that bell icon so you never miss when we upload. Trust me, you're going to want to follow this case. Now, let's get into what really happened that night in Chicago, because this story goes way deeper than just another senseless shooting. This is about gang warfare, retaliation, and a cycle of violence that's been tearing Chicago apart for years. And at the center of it all was a young mother trying to make it as a rapper, caught between two warring factions that have left bodies dropping for over a decade. Arianna Bosney wasn't just some random person. She was a 26-year-old artist trying to build something for herself in one of the most dangerous rap scenes in America. She had songs out there like Want All the Smoke and Not My Problem, and people who knew her said she had this warmth about her, this infectious spirit that made you want to be around her. She was dedicated to her music, passionate about her craft, and trying to carve out her own lane in Chicago's drill scene. But here's where things get complicated. Arianna had a son, and that son's father? A man known as 757 BA, also called Baby Satan. Now, if you know anything about Chicago street politics, that name should make your ears perk up. Baby Satan is currently locked up, tied to 6 murders according to reports. 6. And he's part of a gang called 757, which stand for a coalition of different sets, Gangster Disciples, Black P. Stones, and Black Disciples, all operating on Chicago's South Side. So imagine being that kid for a second. Your father is locked up for multiple murders, probably never coming home, and your mother is trying to navigate life in a city where your last name alone can get you killed. That's the reality Arianna's son was living in. And 757 has been in a brutal, ongoing war with another gang called THF Trigger Happy Family for years now. We're talking about a beef that's left countless bodies on both sides, and it shows no signs of stopping. Now, let me take you back to October 25th, 2025. That's a Saturday afternoon, around 3 p.m. A man named Devonshire Collier, who went by the name THF BayZoo, pulled up to an auto parts store in Chicago's Little Village neighborhood. He wasn't alone. BayZoo had 2 bodyguards with him, guys aged 39 and 42, because he knew he was a target. This wasn't some regular trip to pick up car parts. This was a man moving with protection, because he understood the streets wanted him dead. BayZoo was 35 years old, and deeply connected to the Chicago drill scene. He was tight with Lil Durk, one of the biggest names in drill music, and had been through the legal system more times than I can count. Back in 2014, he got arrested at Lil Durk's house in Orland Park and charged with murdering 21-year-old Dominic Barnes back in 2009 during 4th of July weekend. The case went to trial in 2017, and somehow BayZoo walked. Not guilty. After that, he faced at least 2 more felony gun cases. One got dropped, the other he beat again. Not guilty. In 2018, BayZoo and the late King Von, another Chicago legend who was killed in 2020, actually made a music video together called Beat That Body. The whole song was basically them celebrating beating their murder charges. Think about that. 2 men, both accused of murder, both walking free, making music about it. That's the world we're talking about here. But BayZoo's life was already marked by tragedy long before that Saturday afternoon. 9 years before his own death, his 14-year-old stepson, Raheem Dameron, was killed. And get this, Raheem was shot by someone he had allegedly tried to kill just 1 week earlier. The violence was already all around BayZoo, touching everyone in his circle, including the children. So back to October 25th. BayZoo is at this auto parts store with his two bodyguards. Suddenly, two gunmen appear and just open fire, bullets flying everywhere. The bodyguards get hit, but they survive. BayZoo, though, he takes multiple shots and goes down. They rush him to Mount Sinai Hospital, and early Sunday morning, October 26th, he's pronounced dead. And here's something that just breaks your heart. His puppy was with him at the scene and died right there too. Even the dog didn't make it. Now here's where technology and social media make everything worse. Surveillance cameras caught the entire shooting on video. And within hours, that footage was leaked all over social media. I'm talking about sites where drill rap fans hang out, where people glorify this violence, where kids are watching real murders like it's entertainment. The video spread like wildfire, and suddenly everyone knew exactly how BayZoo died, where it happened, and who might have been involved. And this is where the story takes its darkest turn. Within 48 hours of BayZoo being killed, on Monday evening, October 27th, G Ari is sitting in her car at a stoplight. Her son is in the vehicle with her. We don't know exactly what she was doing, maybe picking him up from somewhere, maybe just running errands. But someone pulled up on that car and started shooting. Multiple shots fired into the vehicle while it's just sitting there at a red light. Arianna Bosney, G Ari, was hit multiple times. Her son, somehow miraculously, wasn't physically hurt, but mentally, that child watched his mother die right in front of him. Think about what that child has been through. Father locked up for 6 murders. Mother gunned down right next to him while he's sitting in the back seat. Who's taking care of this kid now? What kind of therapy, what kind of support system exists for a child who's witnessed something like that? And let's be real, in these situations, that support often doesn't exist. These kids grow up traumatized, angry, looking for revenge, and the cycle just continues. Now, as of early November 2025, nobody has been arrested for either murder. Not for BayZoo, not for G Ari. The Chicago Police Department is investigating, but we all know how these cases go. Witnesses don't talk. Nobody saw anything. Even with surveillance footage, even with all the social media attention, getting someone to actually cooperate with police in these neighborhoods is almost impossible. It's the code of the streets, and it gets people killed over and over again. But here's where the speculation comes in, and this is what bloggers and people in the drill scene have been saying. The rumor is that G Ari somehow shared BayZoo's location before he was killed, that she told someone from 757, maybe people connected to her son's father, where BayZoo was going to be that Saturday afternoon at the auto parts store. And when THF found out or suspected she was involved, they came for her. Retaliation. Pure and simple. Now, we don't know if that's true. That's speculation. But the timing is impossible to ignore. BayZoo dies Saturday. G Ari dies Monday. 2 days apart. And these two killings are connected to the 757 versus THF beef that's been raging for years. 757 is allied with sets like 051 Young Money, Mob, and Geo Drive. THF's enemies include not just 757, but also 051, STL, EBT, Jero City, and 069 Brick Squad. This is a web of violence that spans multiple neighborhoods, multiple generations, and has claimed dozens of lives. And if you're wondering how deep this goes, let me give you some context. BayZoo was at least the 4th close associate of Lil Durk to be shot and killed in the last 10 years. 4 people. And speaking of Lil Durk, let's talk about where he is right now, because it's relevant to understanding just how violent the scene has become. In October 2024, just a year before these murders, Lil Durk himself was arrested in Florida on federal charges. The feds say he paid for a revenge killing back in 2022, tried to get rapper Quando Rondo murdered at a Los Angeles gas station. They didn't get Rondo, but they did kill his cousin, a 24-year-old named Xavier Robinson, known as Lopab. The shooting happened on August 19th, 2022, and now Durk is facing conspiracy to commit murder for higher charges. 5 other members of his rap collective, only the family, got arrested too. And here's the crazy part. When the feds came for Durk, he tried to run. He booked 2 commercial flights out of South Florida, one to Dubai and one to Switzerland. Then he booked a private flight to Italy. The man was trying to flee the country, but they caught him in Miami before he could get on that plane. Right now, Lil Durk is sitting in a federal jail in California, and his trial got pushed back to January 2026. So while all of this is happening with BayZoo and G Ari, Durk is locked up fighting for his life in federal court. Let me put this in perspective for you. Studies from the mid-2010s found that murder was the cause of death for half of all hip-hop musicians who died. Half. The average age of death is between 25 and 30 years old. G Ari was 26. Hip-hop artists are murdered at a rate anywhere from 5 to 32 times higher than artists in any other genre of music. In 2020, XXL magazine looked at 77 rapper deaths and found that more than 40 of them remain unsolved. Nobody held accountable. No justice. Just more bodies. So what happened to G Ari isn't some isolated incident. This is part of a pattern, a culture of violence that's been normalized in certain parts of the rap scene, especially in Chicago. And social media makes it worse because now these murders get filmed, shared, turned into content, and the glorification of violence just feeds into more violence. Young kids see this and think it's cool. They see the music videos, the guns, the tough talk, and they want to be part of it. But what they don't see is the funerals, the mothers crying, the children left behind without parents. Arianna Bosney's story is tragic in every possible way. She was trying to make something of herself, trying to build a music career, trying to raise her son in an impossible situation. And whether or not she actually had anything to do with BayZoo's death, whether those rumors are true or completely false, she paid the ultimate price. Her life was taken at 26 years old, in front of her child, at a stoplight in broad daylight. And the people responsible? They're still out there. So let me ask you some questions, and I really want you to think about these. When does the cycle end? At what point do we look at this and say enough is enough? How many more mothers have to die? How many more children have to witness their parents being murdered before something changes? And here's the hard one. If G Ari really did share BayZoo's location, does that justify what happened to her? Does revenge killing solve anything? Or does it just create more pain, more trauma, more orphan children? Think about her son for a moment. What happens to him now? Does he grow up angry, looking for revenge against the people who killed his mother? Does he end up like his father, locked up for murder? Or does someone step in and break that cycle? Because right now, that kid has lost everything. Father in prison, mother dead, and he witnessed it all. What kind of life does that child have ahead of him? And what about the people who pulled the trigger? Do they feel anything? Do they go home at night and think about the fact that they killed someone's mother in front of her child? Or is it just another body, another name, another score settled in a war that's been going on so long nobody even remembers how it started? These are the questions we need to be asking ourselves when we talk about cases like this. This isn't entertainment. This isn't a movie. This is real life, real people, real families destroyed. And until we start having honest conversations about gang violence, about the music industry's role in glorifying this lifestyle, about the lack of resources and opportunities in these communities, nothing is going to change. More rappers will die, more children will be traumatized, and more families will be torn apart. If this story moved you, if it made you think, if it made you angry or sad or frustrated, I need you to do something for me. Hit that like button right now. Drop a comment below and tell me what you think. Do you think the violence will ever stop? What could be done to break this cycle? Share this video with someone who needs to hear this story. Subscribe to Mystoracrimes if you haven't already, and click that bell icon so you're notified every time we drop a new video. We're covering the stories that matter, the ones that mainstream media ignores, and I need your support to keep doing this work. Let's keep this conversation going. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next one.